Okay folks, so what I thought I'd do is I'll actually show you and run you through the rigs that I'm going to be using today. So first things first, I've already got one rod out, so I'm just going to put the second one out, but before I do, like I say, I'm going to run you through the rig. Simplicity in itself. When you go fishing for predators, what some people do is they far too much, they complicate things, especially when you're new to it. And when I'm trying to show Keith and my boss and people, try and keep things simple as possible and try and practice what you preach. So Zander fishing at Bury Hill, keep it simple. This is the rig. Couldn't be any more simpler. Okay. I'm ledgering today. I'm not, as you can see, I'm not float fishing at all. Oh, let's bring that down. Okay, so here we go. So I'm using 10-pound mainline. It's monofilament. I'm not using braid today. I'm using that straight on the hook. As you can see there, I've got a low resistance run ring, and there's a clip underneath that piece of silicone. You can buy those for Enterprise Tackle. They sell those. And I'm using a 1 ounce lead there. Now generally I like to use a heavier lead. And the reason why I like to use a heavier lead is because when the predator picks the bait up and moves away, it's not dragging a lighter lead with it. If you're using a large run ring like that, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But if you're using a heavier lead, what it does is, as the predator tends to move away from the bait, picks the bait up and moves away from the lead stays put, so it moves freely through the ring more. Okay, but not to worry about that too much. I'm fishing very close in, so I'll be on the rods in seconds. So like I say, that's 10-pound mainline, run ring clip. That's from Enterprise Tackle. I'm using a Guru lead. It doesn't matter what lead you use. I'm just using a Guru one. They're what I use for my tench fishing and sort of cruising fishing, that kind of thing. Then I'm using a buffer bead, which comes in the pack with the low resistant run ring. I'm using a size 8 swivel from Corda. Again, doesn't matter. You can use anything that's strong enough. Like I say, I'm only after Zander today. Most of the Zander in here go what? Between 3 and 7 pounds, with an outside chance of a good double. And then I'm using a wire trace that I've made myself. Now I will show you in a moment the traces. You can buy traces from Bury Hill. They like to use single hook rigs. They don't like to use trebles anymore, and that's been in what effect maybe about 3-4 years roughly, give or take. I crimp all my traces. It's 18 inches long and it's 20-pound wire. Now I'm using very light wire because I'm Zander fishing. I don't see the point, you know, even though there are pike in here and there's some good pike, this is still going to be more than strong enough. I'm not fishing in those stags. It should be more than strong enough to hold a decent sized pike, no problem. Okay, that's size 6 hook, and that's actually a Corda hook, a carp hook, and that's if I believe a wide gape B pattern. I wanted something with a nice wide gape, and that's what I came up with. Very sharp hook. I'm also, you don't necessarily need to have a rig sleeve over the top of it, but I've done that just to neaten it up and see how I go. I've got ones without, and if I find that's hampering it in any shape or form, then I will take it off. I like the reds because obviously it's a nice predator colour. And what I'm going to be doing with that, let's just pop that down for a moment. I'm using the Sea Freeze dead baits. There we go. These are absolutely tiny. They're beautiful little baits. These are perfect for perch, large perch if you want a dead bait for perch. But these are called the Roach Bulk Zander Pack. I mean, these are tiny. Look at the size of that. Absolutely tiny. So what we're going to be doing is nothing complicated at all. This one I'm going to fish whole, and I'm going to fish it just through the lips, almost like you're lip hooking there we go, almost like you're lip hooking a perch live bait. On the other one, I cut the head off and I just hooked it through the top of the towel. And that's all I'm going to do, just cast it out maybe 20 yards in front of me, just off the shelf. I'm fishing, I'll show you a little bit later, but I'm fishing quite close to the boathouse, and it's in deeper water. So hopefully any patrolling pike or Zander, which I'm personally fishing for, will come along those margins, and hopefully where there's one, there's more than one, because you get Zander moving in shoals. Now, let me show you that rig that Bury Hill they sell 3 different rigs. They sell the rig similar to what I just showed you now, which is a single hook rig. They also do these ones here. Keith bought a few for him to use himself, and he likes to stock up. So this is the one he's using, which is the hair rig version. So you can hair rig your bait, which will leave the hook clear, which is it's a nice option, and I might even try that myself later. And they also do the 3rd rig, which is a 2 hook rig. So it's almost like a sea pennel rig kind of thing. So you want to use a larger bait. So if you want to use like a larger smelt for pike, that kind of thing. But it's simply no trebles whatsoever, so everything is single hooks. Okay, so I've shown you through the actual rig that I was using earlier on. So what I'll actually show you is the actual setup I'm using for Zander fishing. You don't need to go too heavy for Stillwater Zander. So I'm actually using 1.5 pound test curve rods. They're barbel rods, so they're a nice through action, so you'll get a lovely fight out of them. There are snags in the water, like I say, but not too many in front of me. So you can use 1.5 pound, 1 3/4, you know, Avon rods, that kind of thing. But these are 1.5 pound. I was going to use 2 pounders today, but I thought no, I'll try the 1.5 pound and see how we get on. As I mentioned before, I'm using 8 pound line. That's 8 pound monofilament. That's the Pulse quarter pulse, so the Guru, the Fishing Guru quarter pulse. It's a new line, I've never tried it before, so we'll see how we get along with it. And I'm using 4,000 reels, bait runner reels, and they balance the rod perfectly. So it's a fairly light setup, but I suppose with experience in that, there's no reason why you can't land a nice pike on these as well. So that's coupled with using an old Corum rod pod I use for my predator fishing. I like this particular pod because if I wanted to fish drop-off indicators at the back, so you know, the traditional sort of pike style drop-off indicators, for pike and zander fishing, then you can do so. But on this Stillwater, as I said before, I'm actually using front alarms with front bobbins, and I just find that gives me, and it's only a personal preference, better indication. So I can actually, they're very light bobbins, they're Corum bobbins. They've got no additional weight on them, so they probably weigh 1.5 grams, 2 grams maybe. Really light bobbins, and then I can feel every little knock, I can see every little thing as it shoots up, shoots down, you know, drop back, that kind of thing. So I think that's actually perfect sort of balanced setup for this type of fishing that I'm fishing for the Zander on still waters. Now if I was fishing up on the fens, as you've seen me do before, then I tend to use a slightly heavier setup, especially if you're fishing on the river or the drains, where you know you've got the pumping coming through and the water coming through, so you tend to use sort of a heavier sort of mechanism type setup. That's, you know, that's how you really want to go with it.